12, I suppose, because technically the top 6 go to the main stage, not the top 8. You know how it works. But Enterprise was also playing that series knowing that they were going to be making pretty big changes from a coaching and a player perspective. How many teams have come into an event where they know they're going to make a roster move and it has sunk them before a single shot has been fired in their game? So it didn't really give us the best vantage point of how Enterprise would do. And now we've got a team that is 5, it's 5 fighting guys. They've got Mag on the team. There's no reason why they shouldn't be able to rise to this challenge. The person that I'm going to be watching, though, is on the side of Los here, Jesse. Perez, who is puzzlingly the only player not in the lobby right now. So I guess we're going to look for him. We're going to look for him. And we're really going to look for him really, really hard. Where is he? One of the statistical best rated players in one of the statistical, if not the most statistical competitive region, which is Brazil. You highlighted it. People didn't expect Los to make it. Not because they're bad, but because there are 6 teams that could very easily make it. You highlighted Team Liquid Alienware. What about Fluxo W7M?
True.
They also could have easily made this. Now, granted, they lost Volps. There's been an identity change on that team, but the core is still there. Both Team Liquid Alienware and Fluxo W7M could very easily have made this event. They did not. Hugzord will be behind the bench for this Los team as they bring Dash back on for his first LAN game since playing with Wildcard several months ago. He left Wildcard because he said he was a little uncomfortable living in America, away from home. Can't blame him.
And yet he comes right back. Here he is in Utah. Suspicious, if you ask me. Maybe he just didn't like Wildcard.
Well, good news. Nobody's asking you. Nobody's saying, Jesse, do you find it odd that Dash is now back in America when he said he didn't want to be here 4 months ago? And you would say, yes, I do find that suspicious. Thank you very much. But nobody would ask you. Nobody's asking you that question. Okay. Either way, Dash is back on the team. He's been doing some calling for the squad as well, picking up those shields, providing leadership for the team. How will that pay off? We'll have a good glimpse of this very early on. This is Los's map, so Enterprise should have a small advantage through these first 6 rounds.
Yeah, again, it's kind of a weird map pick from Los, just given that they haven't won it ever as a team, but I'm sure they're confident. They must have been scrimming it behind the scenes, and so we'll have to see exactly how they come through with it. Now, I love the drones we're seeing immediately from Enterprise. This is going to be Dark, caught on a Tubarão, and Perez caught on the window punch. Cairo shuts him down early. This heavy roam game from Los is super weird for a bank bottom floor defense, and it's not working for them.
It's with the drive-by question mark.
Oh, they've been doing that all day.
I know, but that's just, you mentally boom when people hit you with that. That's the top player on the side of Los who's down for the count. So not an ideal start for them, and now well over 2 minutes for Los to try and figure out how to play this at an uneven number.
Tuhan, I think he saw Dash just there on the drone. He played fantastic in that opening game. I believe dropping near double-digit kills if he didn't quite hit it. Was very, very close in their opening match. Going to be an important player to watch out for, but it seems like everybody's started to fall off. They waste about a minute on the roam, and they lose a body. I'm afraid that's not quite good enough, Parker. This roam game really wanted to get more. Now they just have to rely on those C4s to lock down the site.
Nuxka's in a very familiar spot for a Smoke, which is top blue stairs. He's still got all 3 of those gas canisters in pocket. Smoke now also has the deployable shield, so we might see more diversity with the secondary gadget brought from this operator for the time being. If you're playing blue, you're going to want to put down that barbed wire. You're going to want to do a little bit of damage. You're going to want to use the sound cues and slow them down. The big thing for Nuxka now is either throw out your gas canisters and waste time on this position or get back to site with your life still intact.
Big moment for Dark. Knows that there could be somebody just peeking on this hatch. They want to get it open as quickly as possible, but they're struggling with it just a little bit. The time, of course, you won't be slowed by the Tubarão for using the Maverick, but it's still a slow tool to open up that hatch. This has burned about another 60 seconds, meaning we're into the final minute of this round. And we're just starting to look at the bomb site for Enterprise. Nuxka still survives as well towards top blue, so that's going to be a difficult option to try to push through. A lot of this execute is going to have to come either down through the main stairs or through one of the back hatches.
Yeah, the more that this time ticks down, the more I worry for this Enterprise assault. They've got good tools at their disposal, but how do you apply them? As there go the gas canisters from Nuxka. On to top blue. He's still got 2 silhouettes nearby. Nuxka could go for a swing here, but he doesn't know if anybody's watching that position. Cairo had turned his attention to that spot, and now Nuxka will head back down towards the safety of the bomb site. 20 seconds left on the clock. Enterprise still with 5 players up. Rubber will meet the road. Dash takes down Jigsaw. Slow peek on main stairs. Tuhan trading out Nuxka. And now it's Tuhan in the middle of the site. looking to catch a cross here as Diffuse Kit getting planted. Tuhon shut down by Dafo. Bappin getting Diffuser to the halfway point. The Two-Brow charging out. Huge coverage from Cairo. And Brendo will seal the deal. Enterprise taking the first round with a scramble in the final seconds.
Yeah, it's close, Parker, but they get it done in the end. That's a really difficult round from Enterprise, and it kind of goes back to that first game that they played up against EDG this morning, where their strength really came on the roam clear. They were doing a great job getting the opening pick. They were working themselves into man advantages consistently, but sometimes on their attacks, even against EDG, the execute was a problem. If it was a large man count execute, they would sometimes stumble at the last moments. Los, whether they read into that just because of the previous matchup or because that was how they saw the round playing out, ended up kind of playing in a similar direction, and that execute got really scary. But importantly, they took that space through server. They finally cleared up that pick onto Nuxka, and then the coverage from Cairo, just absolutely fantastic. 3-0 to start this game.
Cairo was the one brought onto this squad that a lot of people didn't have the most familiarity with after SI, and immediately huge statement kills, taking down Perez right off of the rip. The secret weapon of Los, their top player by a country mile, was not able to do all that much. Again, you pointed out, I think quite correctly, how much of an ego peak that first engagement was when you don't need to do that. I mean, maybe Los was worried about playing too passively in the site. That is a real possibility for these teams. And hey, if you think that your opponent is just objectively weaker than you, why not go for spawn peaks? Why not go for early aggression? We see this in the interregional matchups.
Yeah.
How many times it was top team, like, I'm not going to reference examples because then it would obviously put down other teams, but how many times are you watching the NAL? How many times are you watching OS and you see a team that is in first place spawn peaking one of the lower teams? Los might think that of Enterprise. That could have driven Perez's decision.
I think it's a good vibe check for the round one. You know, this is a long best of 3. It's not like our last matches where it's BO1 and everything is on the line immediately. You know, it really is a long game here. It's a marathon, not a sprint. So plenty to work with. Now, Brendo just spotted an opportunity on his drone. He's going to hunt for that as the back of the clash was pointed his direction, but some attention's been paid. Ends up being a 1-for-1 trade. That's huge to be able to get that one pick on the side of Perez, but man, that could have been so much scarier if Brendo was a little faster.
Nuxka spent most of that first round on very limited HP. He will be in the same predicament here now in round number 2, Jesse, as he is on a sliver playing that clash. Again, a very high-value utility operator for Nuxka. Expect that to continue, whether it be on the smoke or the clash or beyond.
Yeah, and this shows really good prep work coming out from Enterprise as well. Nuxka often plays the clash on this site. 67% clash pick rate defending top floor of Bank, so that's clearly something they read into. They put Cairo on the Collie specifically for this reason, and it's worked out well.
Enterprise will now open up one of those 2-panel walls over by Square Stair as Tuhon assesses his magnificent job. Double sniper is something that really only shows up on a couple bomb sites on a couple maps. This one is the place on Bank that you will see it most frequently. You can also potentially see it on open area down below, though it is usually more a destruction-heavy lineup that will get brought, and obviously that's something that gets missing when you have to double up on the Kali and the Glass. It sounds like smokes will go out from the attackers. Dash picking off Vapin. Los doing pretty okay here, surviving this initial onslaught.
Yeah, they need to kind of get some picks back. Here's Cairo deal take down Dash. Really good trade game so far coming through from both teams, but now 45 seconds. The rubber needs to hit the road. This is so close from Jigsaw. Has the ping, but just misses the angle barely. If he doesn't get this, this push could be really late coming in once again from EP.
And that was a great flush. Nuxka rotated to try and cover Perez, swinging over towards Conference. Dafo was his lone backup. Perez is just so good, and Dafo's been permitted to exist in this position for so long. He finds one. Perez will now be hunted down by Jigsaw and this death mark, playing the fadeaway. Dafo looking for the opportunity, and he'll get it. Jigsaw making a ton of noise, charging his way forward. Los will tie things up.
Yeah, really close round once again, Parker. This game is going to come down to the wire is what we're learning early on from these two teams. And I think it really comes down to Enterprise maybe not getting quite enough value out of that Deimos down below. It was Jigsaw playing that position, of course, and he's kind of struggled this game. He was probably the most active player that we saw in their opening duel versus EDG. Didn't top frag, but was certainly the top typer in that lobby and was backing it up, frankly, with his kills. Haven't seen him come alive just yet through the first 2 rounds here on Bank. So hoping to see a bit more out of Jigsaw, by far the best player in Oceania this season.
I mean, how many times when people talk about Enterprise, they talk about Tuhon?
Sure, yeah.
Do they talk about Bappin? They talk about these players who aren't necessarily right now the names we've said the most frequently. I mean, Cairo's been the most impressive performer so far through 2 rounds. That 3K, obviously hugely impactful, was great at paralyzing those defenders on the Chalet in the previous round. Sometimes it's not about kills. Sometimes it's about denying rotates, cut, or mailbox, or all these terms that have started to flourish now that you, the general audience, have heard before about somebody who's just going to sit and hold a position.
Yeah.
Old heads will know that there's a certain dog that was named after that spot, or that spot was named after a certain dog back in the day, where your goal was to just stand there and hold a cross. That's all you got to do. And it evolved over time to become maybe a flank position, and now it's gone back to the position it's in where you're going to sit and you're going to deny that rotate. And it was used so effectively. Nuxka got caught in that exact cross in the previous round.
Yeah.
Now, obviously, it didn't end up resulting in a victory for Enterprise, but it was still the right idea. There were just other deficiencies. So that's something that you have to credit Cairo for.
I'm a little surprised through their first 3 site rotations, Parker, that Los have really just been playing the same strats that they brought throughout SAL. This is their map pick, so you'd kind of expect them, especially since this wasn't a strong map, to change things up a little bit. But so far, it hasn't been working. Now, as I say, Perez goes on a little bit more of an aggressive roam. He loves the Valkyrie on this site. That's not new, but the position is. Gets a bit active, takes down Bappin, now 0-3 to start this best of 3. And it might give Los a little bit of that edge that they've been missing over the last 2 rounds.
Yeah, I mean, the RAM being gone on this middle floor bomb site is really quite devastating. You need the RAM to be there for your soft destruction. You've got the Buck. And I don't know what Nuxka was thinking there, Jesse. He's got Dafo for backup, 2 floors above. Nuxka might actually be retrievable, but Brendo and Cairo have other ideas. Brendo finds 2. Suddenly, Diffuse Kit is going down. All of this has distracted not only us, but also Los. Cairo pulls that off. Shield now turned towards the 2 remaining defenders on the side of Los, Dafo and Dark. Dafo with 4 kills leading the way on the team. A 5th is added to that tally. As Tuhan is dropped, Brendo and Cairo, the 2 to find. The Monty in this particular position is oh so strong. They need to be worried about Brendo. Dark was able to stop him for the time being. Cairo's in trouble. Brendo cannot come to his assistance. He's down over towards blue. Shut off again. This is so good by Los to buy time. Dafo getting on Diffuse Kit. Dark will need to shut him down and will do so. Los, an incredible post round, and they will take the lead.
Really good round coming out both from Dafo and Dark, but I gotta give it to Daffodil in particular, Parker. Such important kills in the midst of that round. I thought Enterprise had found a gap. You know, their execute was really good. So many players were distracted over on that hatch, but somehow Cairo was sneaking in, getting that plant down. But Daffodil continues to impress. He's playing outside of his country just for the first time ever in his career. It's his 2nd international event, but his first was Reload, which was still in Rio de Janeiro, so doesn't really have a lot of experience on an international stage. He hasn't been moving too much. He is in a bit of a new environment here, but still finding the same success that he found domestically down in South America.
They said it.
Oh, they've been saying a lot.
They said the thing. I've always appreciated that the Aussie teams bring that Australian sense of humor, the tomfoolery that comes with a lot of... If you ever watch Aussie sketch comedy, sometimes absurdist humor, it really is quite great. We are obviously missing our Australian compatriots who are not here in Salt Lake City. They are presumably enjoying, I don't know, good weather.
They're probably asleep. It's like 4 a.m. for them.
Or they're on DGen Gamer Hours and they're watching. I don't know.
True, probably.
You never know.
It is the
Clocks don't stop for Siege, baby.
3rd biggest tournament of the year. I'd stay up for that if I was an Australian.
What else do you have down there?
Snakes,
Animals
spiders.
with health bars.
Yeah, scary things.
Animals that want to kill you at every opportunity. Great beaches.
Sure.
Drive on the wrong side of the road. You know, just usual stuff. But either way, I like that Enterprise has brought that style of humor. And Los, if you know the Los team, you know that they are a bunch of jokers. Dash always historically had a good sense of humor. Perez has always jumped in as well. It's something that we as English speakers don't often see a lot from the Brazilian side of things because we don't speak the language. We don't speak Portuguese. But if you ever hear them on Raza's stream and you get somebody to translate, even FaZe Clan, who's, you know, maybe unfairly earned the title of being a bit boring because they are so clinical, they are also some practical jokers here. So expect more of this from Los.
The game plan's not boring from Los, that's for sure. 2 roamers here on the top floor. It's Perez and Dash playing up on these upper angles, and it's definitely known about by Enterprise. Their droning today has been excellent. The shot's not quite enough. Too long with the shot. He does find Dash, though. That's what they were looking for on this roam game. It sends Perez running for the hills, and he gets caught on the rotate, too. Really nice angle being played by Brendo all the way out on this garage rappel. That is a massive pick to force this roam game running away.
We have a fuse, shield, and a Hibana shotgun clearing out open area. What on earth are we watching? Embrace Australian and APAC Siege, baby. And it worked. It completely cleared that portion of the map away. You had Brendo outside of the building. And this is something I actually wanted to credit Enterprise with through all 3 rounds, Jesse, which is that even though Enterprise has had issues inside the building, holding angles outside of the building has been a huge strength of theirs so far.
Yeah, no, they've been fantastic with this, and now they've got a 5v3 advantage. If I'm Los, we kind of have to get aggro here, and I don't know how you do it. It's not an easy position to be in. Maybe challenging these hatches is going to be your best bet. That's certainly what Dark wants to do. Going to stop that fuse charge from coming through. Not quite.
A single puck.
Okay, good,
A single puck.
Got the majority of it and can stall this continuously from opening up with those Zoto canisters. So time is the name of the game, or it would be, but we're running in and we take down Nuxco 1 for 1. That's good for Enterprise.
Davo and Dark still alive, both of them holding, well, it's a TCSG. Let's just say it's a DMR. I know that the gun nuts are going to get upset by that, but played very effectively. And both of these remaining defenders who are upright, as we imagine that Nuxka is not retrievable at this point in time, and don't really think you need. I think he was dead, but that's okay. You've got great weapons in the hands of these defenders. They can very easily get 2 kills without a reload.
2 C4s too.
Lots of things working here for Los in these final 30 seconds. And it really does become incumbent upon Enterprise to find a safe way to get that diffuse kit planted. The job will get much more difficult now due to the Goyo canisters. That's 20 long seconds. 20 seconds that you don't have if you're Enterprise. And almost all the ways into the bomb site now denied. The only opportunity is Tuhon on a single point of HP. Dark jumps up and might have just saved the round. 2 still standing for Enterprise, but Jigsaw finds him. Dark wanted information about whether that diffuse kit was being planted. Really good response from Enterprise and a nail-biter of a round.
Oh, boy. They were so close with that one, Parker. They had it in the palm of their hands. Brilliant play coming out from Dark to stop that plant in its tracks, but ultimately it just doesn't matter as they hunt down that kill. 4 seconds, and they find the kill. He could have ran and hid. He could have hid inside a gold. He had the opportunity, but I think he just didn't know where those last 2 players were. You know, the gold hatch may have been open. He might have thought somebody could have dropped. There could have been someone around elevator. I think his calculus was just, I don't know where they're going to be. So I'm going to hold an angle. I'm going to take this fight. He chooses to peek, and it is the wrong call. He dies with, I believe, under 2 seconds on that clock. Indeed, less than 2 there. So he absolutely could have made it away if he just ran and hid. Tragic to come through in the end, and we wielded a tie game because of that mistake.
Tragedy is the right word here because the call should be, oh, if they're planting, you have to check.
Yeah.
Right? You've surrendered control of that part of the bomb site. They can just walk in. The diffuse kit was by both the open wall and the door connecting into servers. You can very easily just pick that up and resume the position. And if Dark's not there to stop it, you know that one of those 2 defenders, the one not planting that diffuse kit down, they're going to be sitting there waiting for you. That's going to put Dark in an unwinnable position. So I think the call ultimately was correct. You have to peek for info and hope that you can win a 1v1 off the rip. Because if you don't, it's curtains, no matter what. Ultimately, it was a lose-lose situation for Los. Best attempt you could muster, but Enterprise were able to tie up because of it.
Well, this was the double sniper setup brought by Enterprise last time we saw this top floor bomb site, and with the Glaz ban, they will peel off and go for a different approach. Bappin moves off the Glaz over to the Flores, and many other players have changed their ops up as well, so it will be a different look altogether. Clearly seems like they want to get a plant down in through square. They chose not to reinforce this square wall. They maybe could have shot that Selma off, but didn't end up going for that play. Instead, they're kind of just letting Enterprise have their way with this site. They get a nice pick from Jigsaw, finding Dash, and the entry points have been made really nicely too so far from EP. So if you're looking at Los now, what's the game plan? What's going to be the strat to stop this push from coming through?
I think Dash was hoping that he might take a little bit of damage, but it would be okay beyond that.
Sure, yeah.
Yeah, I take 1 bullet, but as long as I don't move, they won't see me.
This is cool Flores tech. It goes from the roof straight into the window by scaling the building. If you haven't seen that before, that's really sick.
Magic ready.
Thank you. Perez is gone now, Jesse. So you had speculated, how do they fix this? They're going to have to do it without their Tubarão. They're going to have to do it with their traditional best player. But Dark and Dapo have been making some serious noise. 10 kills apiece, or 10 kills total, 5 kills apiece for these two. A little bit over a minute still left in this round. Enterprise presumably on the better side of Bank here, at least their preferred side, we should say, because we won't have data from this international event. All we can go off of is the kickoff stats. And again, you highlighted that during kickoff, Los was not particularly good on this map.
Yeah.
So why do you come here? Well, there's got to be a reason for it. Maybe Los ends up losing and their map pool is just still quite weak. That's something we'll find out as we go deeper into this.
Oh, the information's so good here, Parker, but they're not budging from it just yet. 40 seconds to try to make this execute happen, but Enterprise have done it with low time before. Diffuse skip being held by Cairo, long shot from Bappin from top square. This seems like it could be a good entry point, but with Cairo still on the windows, he's going to have to rappel in. Maybe that's the win con. Down the Blackbeard and then go for kills.
Dark will swing because you have to at this point in time. You cannot allow your opponents to settle in. It's all up to Nuxka now in a 1v3. Out goes the last gas canister, a reload on the SMG-11. No time for that. Bappin guns him down. Enterprise stitching two together. They have regained the lead now. Neither of these teams showing that they are objectively better than the other. This is a dogfight.
I gotta say, though, probably the most dominant round that we've seen so far coming out from Enterprise. Start to finish, they had full control of that round. Really good early picks to come through around square. They get a nice frag early on to Dash. And frankly, that's been something that has been talked about quite a bit for this Los team, is that Dash, despite being the IGL, is a very active player. He has a ton of early engagements, now back-to-back opening deaths here in this matchup versus Enterprise. And, you know, it's not surprising given what we saw of him from kickoff. He actually leads opening deaths out of all players throughout all regions on kickoff, so he's been really active dying early. But that's kind of his position, you know, and he's comfortable calling from the grave. That time around, of course, wasn't able to call for any adaptations that ended up working for Los, but keep an eye on that stat now, because back-to-back opening deaths is a bad look for Dash. They do want him getting a bit more active in these early gunfights.
Yeah, I mean, when you think about the role that he plays and the position that he plays, typically those guys are going to be the last to die, not the first. So if you are dying early on high-value ops that also have active gadgets, for those unaware, an active gadget is one that you need to use yourself. A passive gadget is one that remains when you die. Goyo, passive gadget. Smoke, active gadget. If you're dying on an active gadget operator, which thankfully for Dash in this particular round is not the case on the Irish Thorn, then you die with all your value in your pocket. You basically afforded nothing for your team. That is a terrible, terrible spot to be in.
Just wait until the pocket Goyo comes out, Parker, and then he'll be silly calling Goyo the passive gadget operator.
I just don't understand why you can't throw the canisters and then shoot them out of midair. I think that would look spectacular.
That's the next Goyo tech coming.
Yeah, oh.
Ooh. Scary. Bosch G isn't what it used to be.
No, it's not, and neither is limb damage, though, so I guess it kind of balances itself out.
True.
You get that foothold over towards electrical, and there's no way, right?
Okay, that is gadgets. Yeah, they don't know.
Outrageous. Cairo gets taken down by Nuxka and allows Perez to get away. That Monty was living on borrowed time. Look at this full court press for the moment. Enterprise just not hitting their shots with that Los with 2 minutes still left in this round. Very well positioned to tie things up in the first half.
Perez is playing this so well, Parker. Because of his gadget on the Vigil, they didn't know where he was. They didn't think he was so close to the closet door, and it allows him to create that panic, that distraction that eventually takes down Cairo. Now it's a man advantage for Los, and we start to get a bit awkward on the side of AP because they've dedicated 0 resources for taking top floor. They've dedicated 0 resources into the site so far. They have a lot of positioning outside the building. Great. They've got a lot of angles opened up, but they need something to start this push. They need a way to actually get into the building and get that plant down. Right now, they still don't have it.
All calm now as Enterprise scrambles to find a new way in without that Monty. You are spot on. This is a tough position to be in. They will go with this upside-down skylight rappel, which, by the way, works more often than you think, and Bappin gets the pick.
Nice.
Back to even footing with a minute still to go.
That's full top control too, Parker. That is something they didn't have previously. This wasn't the initial game plan, but they've had to pivot since losing their Monty, and now they can start to go for a vert play despite not having a lot of vert operators themselves.
Very active on these main stairs as well, watching this position as he'll have the cross as Brendo gets closer to the bomb site. He'll give himself away, shooting at the soft wall, leading into the Teller's portion of this map. It's Daffo tucked in a position where he can't really do all that much. Dash pops up, down goes Brendo. Bit of a late EE1D, but used as a desperate attempt with 20 seconds to go. Los holding the advantage, but just like that, Bappin will trade things out. Nuxco with one of his own onto Tuhon. Jigsaw's down, and Bappin will need to clutch. Bappin with 6 kills. That's all he'll get in the first round. 1 per round, though. That's not that bad. We got a TeamSpeak listening for you.
It doesn't matter. Don't worry about it.
33, boys. All good.
Yes, sir. That's not bad.
Alright boys, everyone listen up. I need everyone right now to take 3 deep breaths, especially you, Cairo. Guys, we are getting way too flustered, okay? We just need to calm the fuck down, okay? We still have a lot of fucking options, okay? But forget about the attack. We're gonna go defense. Make sure we're deep breathing while I'm fucking talking, okay? For basement, guys, they're just gonna do a default, but we just need to be careful of the Nook lurking lobby or going garage, okay? On the CEO, we're gonna have Harry on Warden, okay? They're gonna sprint in with fucking Blitz, or we need also just need to care the quick plant on CEO, okay? Other than that, we're gonna be running our new strats anyway, yeah? For open area,
Not new strats.
we just need to make sure we don't get pushed and pulled too much around, okay?
Yeah.
But for now, guys, listen. We were in the driving seat for the fucking whole half, okay? We just need to calm down and play together, okay? Make sure on defense, we're picking our win.
Não, já bani mira, é verdade.
Bani mira? Então, perfeito, então.
Toma, dá.
Tá ótimo.
Valeu. Admira, ban.
A defesa TV, pra mandar bala.
Defesa TV, aquelas recuadaças deles, a gente vai fazer nossa caçada padrão com o Dafo, comigo de capitão, Dafo, você de green. E lembra que o cara passa pra trás do server, pra rodar atrás do server, então a gente vai zecar ele de capitão.
I was quite enjoying hearing what Mag and the rest of Enterprise were saying.
Yeah, I mean, definitely trying to calm the nerves a bit, eh? Like, you know that this is a young team still here on Bank, and particularly calling out Cairo to maybe dial things back a little bit, try to get a bit less in his own head. That's so important, especially for an IGL. You know, you're leading this team, you have to be the voice in the server while things are going on. He's still a bit of a young player, you know, this is only his second international event after attending the Montreal Major back in 2024. So it's been a while since he's been kind of at this level as well. I'm glad to hear that from Meg, you know, from a 6-year veteran who's been around the block, who has done so much for Australia and Rainbow Six, to identify that and try to calm things down for the next generation of OCE captains. It is really important to hear that coming through from the TAC timeout. You heard beyond that, of course, focusing on new strategies, worried about some of these open area defenses, but still in control of this game. This is Los's map pick, don't forget. So if Enterprise can come out of that first half 3-3, if they can come into the second half with still some gusto, I mean, they're in a good spot in this series.
Yeah, I mean, you haven't gotten any closer or farther away from victory, which, again, is a bit deceptive depending on these maps. You know, if the defenders are supposed to win 5 of the 6 rounds, for example, and you come out of the first half with 3 wins as a defender, you're technically no closer to a victory, but that's bad. That's very bad because you are falling well below your expectations. So again, Bank is a tricky one because I feel like it has among the most volatility of all the maps. There are times where teams will look like juggernauts defending this, you know, cavernous map, and then you'll have times where the attackers are just running roughshod over them. When you've got a team like Los that has played this map a number of times, never really seen a lot of success, they're making their very first play here at Atlanta. And then you get Enterprise, who, well, they're used to playing, OS Siege, which doesn't always match up well against Brazilian squads, doesn't really match up well against other international events. It can be a bit tricky to try to determine which side is better, but given that it was Los's map, Enterprise wanted to go on attack. That leads me to believe that they were hoping for more than 3 rounds. And I mean, 4-2 is usually the most common scoreline. If you're not achieving that, most of the time you're in bad shape.
Plenty still to do here on the defensive side, though, and I do think Bank is one of those maps where it can be quite 50-50, but different sites lean quite heavily. Like, this basement can be very defender-sided, whereas the top floor can often be quite attacker-sided. So just because the overall map is 50-50 doesn't sometimes mean that every round is likely to be a coin flip. We'll have to see what this Enterprise defense looks like. Again, they said they were bringing out new strats, and they certainly haven't lied about that. This is a really cool setup here with the Aruni trying to stall down these hatches. You pair that with the 2-brow, and getting the hatches open is going to be really tough work, frankly. And then you've got Cairo as well here on the Tachanka, but Tuhon inside a garage, maybe the most aggressive players. It's not a really heavy roam coming out from these guys, just a couple of open area players. Tuhong did get caught on a drone. I believe his foot was visible inside Garage. Whether Los want to capitalize on that currently doesn't seem so, but just keep an eye out for that late round. If they do try to pivot to this Garage side, they should have some intel working with the idea that Tuhong was down there.
Well, we've got another best of 3 awaiting us after this matchup. It's Shopify Rebellion versus Falcons. Falcons had some struggles against Daystar earlier. It was a 7-4 scoreline for Falcons when they ultimately persevered. Shopify Rebellion had some problems with their matchup. 7-5, I believe the scoreline it was, if memory serves correctly.
It's never easy for SR fans.
No, and I mean, again, whether it just be that, you know, Troy with his ties to Dark Zero and never letting a single map look easy, maybe it just continues no matter what org it is. Obviously, I'm trying to, you know, make a joke here, but
Yeah,
maybe not the funniest of jokes, but either way, I mean, it wasn't an easy game for either of those, frankly.
yeah. Intentional drone suicide from Nuxka to try to clear that out. You've gotten rid of it now. That's a tricky trap from the Aruni because you can stand below it on the little case that's down inside a server and you can unactivate it until some Heartbreak gets put on. Wasn't being played that way, but you do need to clear that gate out as soon as you can.
What do you think that frag grenade was for?
I genuinely don't know. I feel like...
I think he fat-fingered because he's playing a recruit.
Yeah. He might have thought he had EMPs. We'll have to get his thoughts on it after.
Either way, that's one piece of utility that's down, and I mean, you've still got plenty of nades remaining. Nuxka with 2 in pocket. Perez has 1, 2, so you've got some fallbacks here. Not the end of the world if you have to rely on somebody else to do it. You've opened up a small portion of the wall, and out goes the Goyo canister. Or rather, the flames from the Tachanka. I'm so used to that being a Goyo, but there's no Goyo present for Enterprise. They will just try to use those Molotovs as effectively as possible. Cairo still has 12 of them, now down to 11. So he'll be able to blanket that area. It doesn't do as much damage as you'd hope, but it can still be really good at disincentivizing people to push from that direction. A drop now in from Dash, a pre-fire, and he comes away. 2 kills, 3 kills now for Los. Only 1 answered by Enterprise. The second will fall. Cairo and Bappin on the board, keeping this one as close as it can be. Diffuse kit is planted, so Nuxka and Dash will now find themselves guarding that case. A nice play by Bappin to find his 3rd kill. And now it's all up to Nuxka, who plays this rat angle. Oh my goodness, this is a tight one to hit if you're the defenders. Firing away, giving his position up. Out goes the nade to dislodge them. Tachanka will take the engagement. Cairo goes down. Bappin looking to break 10 kills. He can do that if he gets Nuxka here. But Nuxka's playing the Blackbeard on the angle. There was no hope whatsoever. Los take the lead.
Yeah, really advantageous 1v1 from Nuxka. He's got the timer on his side, plays it really nicely there. A little scary because it got down to the 2v1, but ultimately works in their favor. Great little attack to come through from Los. It's not so worried about all the stall. You know, they got top floor for free. They saw what they were playing up against. They saw all of those Aruni gates and Zoto canisters and Tachanka fire. Like, there was a lot to stop that plant, but it didn't let them stall their pace. They were able to get things down relatively nicely. Whether there were some maybe misclicks with the striker or not, they managed to get the job done, and it's a really nice plant to come through despite the best efforts from Bappin. Good little closeout to come through from Nuxka, a player that we sometimes do worry about when it comes to the kill department, especially on the attack. Out of all the players attending the major here in Utah, Parker, Nuxka has the worst offensive KDR out of all of these players. The attacking stats have not been his game. He is a shield player, I want to preface that. You don't expect him to be getting a ton of kills on the offense, but when he needs to, he absolutely can fire back, and that was a good example of it here on the first attack of Bank.
Yeah, I was going to say, you could have fooled me there. Man went on a heater. I don't know if nerves played a part there for Enterprise. I mean, that was the big focus for Mag. We only got to hear a portion of the timeout before we went over to Los's side of things. But, yeah, I mean, it's tough to diagnose what is going wrong. And, I mean, not a lot is going wrong. This is still a relatively competitive series.
Yeah.
There's still at least one more map to play, Chalet, picked by Enterprise. But if we don't end up seeing that 3rd map, then that means Los will walk away with both of them. It is possible that the side swap really does benefit this Los team. They don't have the best track record on Bank. We've said that a number of times now. It might come up yet again in one of the remaining rounds, but
yeah.
Los did look a little bit more comfortable with the way that they were playing around the entirety of this map.
And that is reflective of kickoff, right? 30% defense win rate on this map through kickoff, 42% on the attack from lows. So it's not great on either side, but it is better on this offensive side, which might be part of the reason why Enterprise wanted to start on the attack here up against the Brazilians. But in any case, you play both sides in a game of Siege. It's going to be the same one way or the other. Dafo starting to work on this elevator wall, and it might start making the positions a little bit awkward here on the top floor, being spread out by Enterprise. With that wall opening up, the entire hallway is going to become a no-no zone for Enterprise to play around, and it kind of forces them to sit a little bit more passively, a little bit more steady inside of the bomb site. They can't get aggressive as they might have wanted to over towards lobby or over towards stock.
I understand that it's meta right now on this bank map, but seeing upside down repels are just so they're just so goofy for me. Oh my! He wasn't in the building, it wasn't on the skylight, but Dafo takes care of Brendo, and that might be an opening now for Los to get far more aggressive. It seems that will be the call as they assert themselves on that spiral staircase, heading now towards this top floor. Governed by Dark, looking through his scope. Down goes Perez at the hands of Tuhan. The Monty now spotted by Jigsaw as he's prone. Dark taking damage from places he's unaware of. Nuxka dies at the hands of Bappin, and there's another for Bappin from this same position. Now he has to deal with Dafo and Dash, one of whom isn't even in the building. Dash still outside, not far removed from the Azami. An upside down repel from Dafo will come in, almost taking care of Bappin, who did break double digits. We'd mentioned that that was something that he was looking for. He repelled his entire way down that skylight, or that in main lobby. What an incredible moment from him. Dash and Davo now, as there go the smart glasses, and they snap their fingers, and Jigsaw and Tuhan get the final 2 kills, and we are tied yet again.
We go back and forth and back again, Parker. It is Bappin, the hero of that round, to take a bad situation and turn it into something winnable. Really big moves over towards the main stairs from the youngest player here in the lobby, just 20 years old. Bappin has quite a lot of experience despite that throughout the years here on Enterprise. He's the longest standing member of EP, tied with Tuhan, joining in June of last year, and it really does kind of showcase in his gameplay just how comfortable he is with this roster. It's something I praised them for in their earlier game versus EDG. I'm going to praise them again here today against Los. The team play on the side of Enterprise is really sharp. You can tell these guys have been putting in the work together to be able to trade off each other's comms. They look really comfortable playing as a unit. If one guy dies, someone else is there really quickly, frankly, to come through and get that kill back. And I won't say it's a weakness of Los. Like, I haven't noticed any major mistakes where they're not playing together. But Los is a brand new roster of 5 players who were not playing together 3 months ago. This Enterprise core at least have their roots going back, even if they made a few roster changes. For Los, they're a brand new team coming in, and so you might kind of look at that and say, well, when it comes to the coordination, when it comes to the team play, Enterprise actually are the better team, and it's keeping them alive in this game.
Yeah, and again, this isn't their map.
Exactly.
So you've got Los playing on what should be familiar soil. It is a familiar map for them. There's no denying that, Jesse, but the familiarity doesn't necessarily net a victory here for you. It just simply means you know this map. But if you lose it every single time, you still know it. You just don't know how to win it. And I mean, Los's numbers really do speak for themselves. So Enterprise in the position that they're in right now, likely feeling pretty good about this. But again, I look back to that first half, and if you chose to attack, you probably want to take more than 3 rounds. So they are already behind where they wish they could be. Still have time to make up that difference, though, and it looks like that's the intention right now.
This could be a rush strategy from Los, Parker. They've got Dafo down below on the Amaru, looking at that hatch that he's going to pop up. It's not an immediate rush to the building, but Nuxka on the blitz is close. The nades are coming through. Here's the push.
And the slingshot in. Dafo looking for a trophy. He doesn't find it. Nuxka on the board with the shield now put away. As Bappin has died, Cairo will join him in the afterlife. Perez finds another. Jigsaw ends his reign of terror. A swing in now from Dark, as they are looking for additional forces to help out. Only 2 remain for Enterprise. Jigsaw and Brendo do not have 2 guns that you want to be holding in this position. A Roni and a UMP, that's not the machinery that works super well, especially against an R4C, especially against a DMR, and with a shield on the board, this could get mighty tough. Good news, though, for Los. You got plenty of time. You can wait this one out. 1.5 minutes still on the board. Jigsaw last man standing now, as Enterprise have been reduced to but 1. Nuxka getting defuse kit down. Jigsaw looking elsewhere. That obscurement from the sends of Dash, paying dividends, and now into a post plant we go. A nice kill from Jigsaw. He's got Nuxco with the shield still up. Dash will be the one that he will have to find next if he wants this to possibly work out. But Jigsaw doesn't have a lot of information. He's got an idea. He thinks there's one up at top blue. He'd be correct. Shield nearby, and Nuxco gets the job done. No hope whatsoever for Enterprise. Los takes the lead again.
That's a brilliant rush coming out from Los. Well executed, well crafted. I mean, they had exactly what they wanted to do in the back of their minds. 5 players pushing from 4 different directions. They had so many different angles that Enterprise had to work together. They had Dark playing the windows up on the top floor. Of course, they had Dafo playing the slingshot up through the hatch on the Amaru. They had Dash pushing in through the electrical closet, and then it was that duo of Nuxco and Perez coming in through the printer window that really dealt the damage as all eyes were in the other directions. Those two were able to step up and really cause havoc inside the bomb site. Nice multi-kill coming out from Perez in the midst of that. Certainly the star of that push. And frankly, in the 3v2, with how much map control Los had over on that cafeteria side, there was no hope to win things out. The plant was free. Enterprise's position was really, really bad. From start to finish, that rush did exactly what it had to, and it gives Los the lead.
Perez has had a very quiet game. The depth on Los has been paying off. Dafo leading the charge here, as you can see. Perez finding 2 kills under the cover of darkness, while Enterprise was fixated on that shield, asserting itself over by break room and staff area. Ultimately, these teams are both really well balanced, which means that there is still a high likelihood that one of them will make it out of phase 1 and into phase 2. It's just a matter of who's next, right? Our next matchup is going to be Team Falcons from EML versus the NAL team of Shopify Rebellion. One of those 2 teams will clinch a spot in phase 2. We'll be saying goodbye to some teams tomorrow. It will be a bit of a sad affair, but we do need to start sending teams home.
Yes.
You seemed upset.
Well, I was going to say, I mean, the loser of this game plays the winner of Daystar versus 4 a.m. So not a free game, but I think the winner of this, or the loser of this, will still be favored to make it into phase 2.
Don't you think it's kind of silly that 4 a.m. has to play with only 4 of 5 players because of their name? Like, just call yourselves like 5 angry players.
No. It's 4 angry men, so that means just one guy is really chill.
Oh.
One dude is so relaxed. The other
angry.
4 are pissed.
4 angry men, 1 mildly perturbed.
Yes.
Yes. If I was funnier, I would have come up with other puns, but...
Well, it's okay, Parker. You don't have to be funny when you're pretty.
Let's see what lurks in the dark.
Oh, yeah, that's bad.
Really, just not anything of column A and not anything of column B.
Perez playing the Jackal for the first time that any Rainbow Six player has picked this off in almost 5 years, so really nice to see that coming out. It's Jigsaw taking the Jiggle Peek up against Dark with some long-range firepower going both ways, but ultimately Jigsaw's position does not have to be given up. This roam game has been really committed to sticking around, and so far it is successful.
Only person who's taken any real damage at this point in time is Dafo, who is leading the way in, as he's done many times now on attack. This is a good stalwart defense from Enterprise. Dafo, the only one on the board so far. Really consistent kills across the entire board for Los here, Jesse.
Yeah, I mean, this roam game's been working together. They've been playing off the yokai cameras from Cairo. They've been getting active. I mean, we see Tuhon on the top floor, ratting inside a CEO, still just activating the mines that he wants active. And whether they know he's here or not, Parker, this is going to be a huge threat. I think they're aware that he could be, but they don't really have the time to clear him out. 65 seconds on bank basement? Like, this is one of the most stall-heavy bomb sites in the entire map. The fact that Tuhon has been left on the top floor means they can't really think about him. He is going to strike at some point in the next 55 seconds, and when he does, it's going to be devastating for Los.
So what are we looking at here on the side of Enterprise? Lots of passive gadgetry still up. Some good guns in hands. Yokai drones likely positioned to assist Cairo. Cycling through where he wants to position this. It looks like blue is where that Yokai drone will go. And Dash just missing an opportunity. He'll find the next one. That's one fewer gadget for the defenders. 20 seconds remain. Enterprise still have time to get those yokais that were on the main floor now closer to the bomb site, as Dash will attempt to get the plant down with Dark and Dafo watching. Dash still a little bit outside of reach. Now there we go. Diffuse kit going down. Nice play by Jigsaw. Cairo getting in as well, but Nitro Cell will get them all except for Dafo, who's covering from above. 2 of the remaining 3 players of Enterprise now looking for this middle floor retake. Dafo wanting to break double digits. Nobody attempting to get onto that defuse kit. Timer still running away. They don't have information on where Dafo is. Nice play by Brendo to tie things up. We're going to need all 12 rounds of this first map as it's 5-5 with Enterprise tying us up again.
Beautiful defense coming through there. I was really excited to see what the Fenrir would be doing up on that roam, but he just came back to sight through the gold hatch Parker. And to one extent, maybe you're thinking, well, he could have gotten a little bit more value on the roam game, but I think it's the right call from EP. Just playing it safe, not knowing that you're in the advantage. They've got very little time. You can deny that plant with C4s. They didn't quite deny it in time, but I mean, 3v1 post plant, 2 guys running up towards the top floor. That's losable, but it's still favorable for EP. So I like the way they played that in the end. It's good enough to get them tied at 5. As you said, now all rounds of regulation will be required. And I think it poses a bit of an interesting challenge for Los, because if that's how EP are going to play the rest of this map, if they're going to be quite aggressive, they're going to be roaming around the place, what's your game plan to clear them out? Because EP have just tried a very aggressive strategy. It worked incredibly well for them. And now, as we enter the second last round of regulation, they will not go back to the top floor. They will not go back to open area. We have brought out archives and tellers for the first time here at the Major. So this could be a huge turning point. It's a bomb site that is relatively weak, especially if you're just going to anchor it. But if you extend outwards, if you try to play aggressive, just like EP did in the last round, it can be very tough to crack open.
Jesse, it's talking about opening kill time, my favorite time of the day, second only to round number 11, where, well, actually, this right here is round 11 because the team that wins this goes to match point. Yeehaw! The opening pick has been consequential in 8 of the 10 rounds. Only twice has it fallen short, once for Los and once for Enterprise. There's an extraordinarily high likelihood that if you can get that first opening pick, and it is not a trade. Granted, there's only been 1 opening pick trade, and that was back when Enterprise lost that round after getting the opening pick. If you do not trade, you got a really good chance of going all the way. So look for who can strike first. It's relatively even across the board. 5-5 for both of these teams, so would stand to reason. Even in the rounds where they traded out, the opposite won, and we're back. It's great. I love when numbers do this, Jesse. That's a beautiful thing, isn't it?
On all stats, it shows just how evenly matched these two teams are. It's been a great game of Bank so far here in Utah, and we're hoping to see a little bit more of that through 2 rounds and hopefully some overtime as well. Dark gets in the building. The C4 rips, but it will miss quite a ways away, but that's okay. Just got in as fast as he could on the side of Dark to take that space and avoid the Nitro Cell. Job's far from finished, though, Parker. Great you got top floor control, but most of this defense has been committed to the main floor. The hallway over by elevators has been absolutely filled with utility. I like the IQ from Perez. He's spotting out these echo cameras. He's spotting out some more information, of course, with the Mozzie as well. He'll find the Banshees. He'll find Jigsaw if he's activating his gadget. So it's a really high-value pick to come through from Perez. If he can use that to work a pick or clear out some utility, it might open the door. But for now, all the util still remains from Enterprise, and I think they're in a pretty good spot in this round.
I like the Oryx. I like how active we're seeing these intel operators from Enterprise as well. Don't see a lot of Oryx. Certainly don't see a lot of this bomb site. Yes, Jesse, you did reference the fact that it's archives tellers, but it does bear repeating because it appears as often as, say, I don't know, Jackal.
Or Oryx.
Or Oryx. The purple operators reigning supreme. First down, and it'll come in a pair. Cairo and Jigsaw both removed. Perez, the only one to strike on the side of Los.
I'm reloading.
Enterprise will get those 2 picks and immediately reposition. Jesse, that is huge. They took out the shield. They took out the ram. And the floor above their heads, the ceiling, is safe. Dafo will find an opening as Bappin, sitting at that front teller's desk, is punished from that position. Talked about how close this is. Enterprise struck first. High likelihood they'll carry on to win the round. Logic bombs will go off now, running out of time. Dash getting defuse kit down. There goes Dafo. Dash manages to survive it for a moment. It's all up to Perez now as Enterprise is swept through what remains of these attackers. A really poor showing compared to what we saw domestically for Perez. He will have 3 players to find in order to win this round. He's not going to get a single one of them. The final 3 on Enterprise survive without barely a single point of damage done in the final moments. And the Aussies will go on to map point.
Really cool strat coming out once again from Enterprise. You can see how well they've prepped for this map, Parker. It sounds like we'll get attack time out here. Probably the one from Los. We'll see if we get a listen into this one as we are seeing Mag put his headset on. I'm hearing nothing. So
I'm not hearing anything either.
I'll take it as an opportunity to hype up how that defense was so strong once again, Parker. We talked about the Oryx, and it's really not a common operator, but he has two big strengths that no other operator in the game has. Number one, he can jump up hatches. Just a completely unique ability to defenders that can only be matched by Amaru on the offense. And two, he can bash those shields, so he's a really good counter to the Monty. And both of those factors came into play in that last matchup. We watched Jigsaw rotate up the main stairs on the Solus. He got a big pick by making that aggressive move halfway through the round to disrupt that push. But at the same time, Cairo jumped up the hatch from open area into stock, and he managed to make a huge play, killing the Monty in the midst of that push. And once they had that two-man advantage, it was so tough for Los to convert in the 5v3 deficit. It just became really awkward. I don't know if Cairo actually used the dash to kill the Monty. I think he didn't need it in that moment. But in any case, he uses the jump up from stock to be able to make that play, and then also comes through to be able to stop that Monty up on the top floor. Really impactful play coming out from both of those roamers. And if Enterprise can continue that, if they can continue to get aggressive in the midst of those rounds while Los are still setting up their execute, it could really set things up to make things difficult for Los. This is back-to-back rounds now where EP have played quite aggressive, and it has given them the win con. Los need to find an answer now, or they will be going down 0-1 in this series.
It's a tough one to be for Los. I would have loved to have heard what was being talked about by Enterprise, Jesse, but alas, it will remain forever a mystery. Do or die now for Los. You were right to point out how challenging this map has been, and it really does speak to their map pool if they have to rely on going to maps like Bank and ultimately fumble it, right? There is a glaring hole in your map pool. Either you got completely beaten in the map ban phase by Mag and Enterprise, or, I don't know, you think higher of a map than you should.
Yeah.
It is a bit of a mystery here, but you pointed this out. This is a newer team. This is a newer roster, all coming together to gel, so there will be growing pains.
Well, it's going to be tough to come back from this. This will be Los's third straight loss on Bank if they do manage to fall in this contest, round 12, up against Enterprise. So we'll see how it comes through for them. They've got to have a good plan to stop this aggressive moves. They've gone top floor on the side of EP, and they've brought out this clash from Cairo, which was first seen by Nuxka earlier on in this matchup. It was the call he brought out by Enterprise, which really shut down that play, but this time that isn't really being brought by Los. They don't have any great answers to this clash other than just playing Vert or trying to get behind her. If Cairo can survive, either by playing over towards Square or even over towards Elevators, he's going to be a real menace that they don't have a good response for.
A lot of it is going to hinge on this shield play. You are absolutely correct about that. Right now, on Repel, one of the slower rounds, opening picks have been happening in the 2s, which means they happen within the first minute of play when there is still a 2 in front of the timer. Right now, as you can see, we are after the halfway point, so time burning very quickly, and that is a problem for Los because Enterprise would be very glad to spend the next minute and 10 seconds not really doing all that much. Defenders win the round if the timer hits 0, so Enterprise is saying, all right, take all the time in the world that you need. They're trying to isolate the clash now. As you can see, multiple players are focusing on Cairo. Now Perez has his hands full down below. Tuhan to the rescue, punished by Perez. Perez finding kill number 8. Out will go the flashbangs. Bappin moved out of his position, now flashed yet again. Expecting a vault in. A little belated now here and an easy pick, but he's killed by Dafo. Perez also on the board. Enterprise, one player trailing in numbers. Jigsaw will survive that flash on the ground. Dafo finished off by Brendo. A 2v2, but Perez is still on the board. He's been awfully quiet, taken out by a Nitro Cell. Dark last one standing in a 1v2. The Aussies just need a single kill and they go up 1-0. Very limited time remains. Dark with no gadgetry remaining, does not hold that defuse kit. He's being slowed as he now plods his way through the CEO office. Finding the warden, oh my goodness, getting away from it. Brendo just needs to hide. Do not overpeak, do not overcommit. but Brendo finds him anyway. Enterprise takes Los's map and go up 1-0 on the series.
A statement for the Australians. What a game to come out 7-5 as the underdogs. They may be from Brazil, but that doesn't mean they're unbeatable. APAC stand tall here in their first map of the BO3.
At least one more map remains, maybe two. We'll find out after this. All right, well, map number one was a grinder between these two teams. 7-5 the victory for Enterprise, taking Los's map. Yeah. And that sets us up for Enterprise now to possibly seal the deal with a quick to on their own map of Bank. Now you can talk a little bit about Bank, or Chalet. But before we get to Chalet, I want to talk about Bank. What happened there? Why does Los keep going to this map when they keep losing, Jesse?
It's a big question, Parker, and it definitely felt like we were a little bit more prepared on the Enterprise side than we were on the Los side. I mean, you even heard it in the halftime timeout. Mag talking about all the different strats that they had on Bank, the new things they were bringing, and Los, frankly, were bringing a lot of the same setups that we saw back during kickoff. Now we'll move into Chalet. It's again a map where the VOD advantage is going to favor Enterprise. We've seen it quite often from Los. They played it 3 times throughout the kickoff. They beat INTZ. That was great. Then they lost back-to-back matches versus FaZe Clan. Now, FaZe Clan is the world champions, okay? They're a very good team, so I don't want to overhype those losses, but it's still one that we've seen a lot more footage on from Los than Enterprise. Enterprise, undefeated, have yet to drop a single round on Chalet, 7-0ing the Barbie Boys back during kickoff.
Barbie Boys, FaZe Clan. Corporate is asking to see the difference between these two, and there is no difference.
More or less the same.
There's no difference here. I would love to be one of the Barbie Boys. With a map like Chalet, though, on deck, Chalet is obviously going to play very differently from a map like Bank. Chalet significantly smaller than Bank is. But one thing that is going to remain the same between these maps is the amount of action that will happen outside of the building, right? Yeah. We saw round after round after round between these teams on Bank where there was somebody on a window, somebody on rappel, somebody on a skylight getting a kill before actually stepping foot in the building. The same can be said for Chalet. Big window, bathroom window, library window, all over the place.
Yeah, it's going to be really tough for those defenders. We expect an Azami ban to come through to make that even more powerful for the attack. Los will be the team starting on the offense, so that might give them a bit of the edge. That would make sense, given that this is Enterprise's map choice. But really, it's going to come down to how do you stay alive on the defense. This is one of those maps where sometimes as an aggressive defender, you can get shut down because there's so many angles that you have to worry about from outside the building. If you're trying to get a little bit more active, if you're trying to be out and about, it can be very awkward. And so you look to the more aggressive players Enterprise. You look to guys like Jigsaw, you look to guys like Bappin, who like to play those more aggressive roles, and you start to wonder, are they going to rein things in, or are they confident enough in their gunplay to just do it anyways?
And we were wondering where we were going. Why did stuff get banned? So here's the map veto for you. Los picked Chalet? Huh?
Okay. We might have a change up here. I mean, that would make some sense.
That would make sense.
Yes, that would make some sense if it was Los who chose it.
Would make sense. We were very curious as to why Bank was picked by Los when they have such a, I don't want to say such a poor record, but ultimately a poor record on it. Enterprise picking it would make a lot more sense. This going now to Los's map would once again make some sense here. But either way, we know that we're going to Chalet. It doesn't matter. We'll figure out eventually who picked this. And then, of course, we have Cafe as the decider. Yes. Should it arise? It is not our only best of 3 today. So if you like Siege, you got to see 3 best of 1s. And now we are in the qualification. And tomorrow we will be in the qualification and elimination games, which throughout this entire event will not be played on best of 1s, but be played on best of 3s. So
yes, the
first team could potentially be Enterprise. If they go out 2-0 in this series, they will be the first team qualified to join of the 4 for phase number 2, which is that Swiss phase, which already has a whole bunch of teams that are just now starting to arrive. When I was leaving the hotel, I saw some of the wildcard guys arrive because they're just getting here now because they don't have to play today. So
yeah,
they got some time to settle in, get some flights, maybe stay with their loved ones, and then fly in for, the Swiss stage will be kicking off in just a couple days.
Yeah, and reminder as well, nobody goes home with this best of 3. It's only the first match the Los have played in the tournament because they did get that forfeit win over Wolves to start the day. So this is their first time playing. Enterprise got an earlier game against EDG. That was early this morning that many of the fans might have been too sleepy to watch down under. But if you're just waking up now and joining us, you'll be happy to know that Enterprise have yet to drop a map in a very comfortable position. If they do lose this series by dropping Chalet and Cafe, they will go down to play the winner of, I believe it's 4 Angry Men versus Daystar in the lower brackets. That'll be a best of 3 played tomorrow. The winner of that will be in phase 2. The loser goes home.
I mean, obviously the debut from these Chinese teams has not been the best, right?
Sure.
All of the CNL teams have looked like they're a bit behind the rest of the regions, but any ball knower will tell you that that's pretty normal for a new region that's coming into the game. I mean, it took years for Brazil to be in a point where they were regularly contending for these top 4, top 2 positions. With the exception of the odd bright spot here or there, Brazil needed about half a decade to warm up. APAC has never reached the heights that Brazil has reached now. There's multi-world champions coming from that region, Jesse, but APAC is still making some steady improvements. Daystar, an APAC team that will be playing later. They're one to keep your eye on, but let's keep our eyes on Chalet. Map number 2 underway. Enterprise versus Los. Enterprise enters up 1-0.
We'll get right into the operator bans, and for Los, you've got to keep your eye on these aggressive players for Enterprise. While it was a back-and-forth matchup for the majority of Bank, when we got to those last 3 rounds, Parker, it really was the Aussies running away with it, and they did it with an aggressive playstyle. They did it by maneuvering quite a bit openly on the map. I'm thrilled to see an Azami ban here. That is kind of the one operator that will enable those more aggressive playstyles on the defense. I wasn't 100% sure if we'd see it because it can go either way, but I'm so happy to see that taken out. It's going to make things a lot easier for Los. Often paired with Amira, we see Denari, we see Clash ban sometimes on this map. There's a lot of different ops that you can pair with the Azami, try to take off the board. It will be the Clash this time around being removed by Los, and then the double shield bound from Enterprise. It was really something that Nuxco was doing quite well with back during Bank. He had some successful rounds, some unsuccessful rounds, but there's no doubt that Los are one of the heaviest shield teams that we have here in the meta, so seeing that get banned out twice, not a surprise.
No, and I mean, you speculated that we'd see an Azami ban before we even queued into the map.
Yes, I did.
You are smart. And that is the only nice thing I will say about you all day.
It is probably the single highest operator map ban that we see across any map in Pro Siege. I don't think there's a single pair of operator plus map that gets banned more often than Azami on Chalet. It's a menace, Part. It's rare to see a game without it.
A very strong operator, and unfortunately off of the board. So now we go to Chalet. Enterprise in the first position of any team so far today to potentially qualify. So
yeah,
could have an Aussie team in Swiss phase coming up. There are 3 phases to this event. The first one is the play-ins. We're in that right now. You see the teams competing from their practice rooms, and some of them will be going home tomorrow. Flew all the way here. Maybe your flights were far, maybe they were a lot closer. We do know that there are 2 teams competing in our final best of 3 of today. One of those teams will be just the second to qualify for the Swiss phase. That's going to be either Team Falcons or Shopify Rebellion. Remains to be seen which one of them will ultimately do better, but both of them having some challenges today, neither of them making their matches look particularly easy. It was 7-4 for the Falcons and 7-5 for Shopify Rebellion to get to this point. So how do they fare? What are you laughing at?
We're just already running out the building. I mean, this is the style of game that Enterprise want to play, isn't it, Parker? Very aggressive, and the C-Force coming through too. The Grim has got a good information onto Cairo, and there are 4 players, all 5, the whole team staring at his spots. They will eventually get the kill.
Down goes Cairo to Nuxca's utility. And Tuhan on the Ella will now push up. He's going to lose some of the protection around him, turning and looking over towards Big Window. As those Grimbees will fly on by. Perez now holding in this position. A beautiful shot to take down Tuhan. Oh my goodness. Out will go the smokes, and in the midst of that cover, Perez will walk on in. Dash taking a little bit of damage, but so far it has been a perfect entry for Los until Jigsaw blows up Dash with a Nitro Cell. Now Brendo swinging through that trophy window.
Sensor on.
He's got more work to be done as he and Jigsaw are the only 2 remaining for the Aussies. Nuxco was attempting to get that defuse kit down, but falls off. Jigsaw's gone. Brendo will follow. Perez the final kill. And that's all she wrote in the first round. The Brazilians sharpening their spears. And it's an incredible first round on Chalet for them.
Yeah, Perez comes right into second map here, and he looks pissed off from what happened back in map number 1. Jigsaw even just typed in the server, oh, he's mad. Yeah, I think Perez is kind of mad with how that first map ended because he knows how good this team can be. They don't expect to be losing to Enterprise and hit some really nice shots in what was a relatively basic push. I mean, Los had players on the trophy window, they had players on the Astro window, and that's it. They literally had 2 positions as they went for that push. They had really not very much map control at all, but they didn't need it. They had a guy on big window too. Okay, 3 positions. But even still, they really just used a couple of spots there to force these picks onto these players, hit some brilliant shots with Perez being able to be the real ringleader in that round. And it makes sense given his experience. You know, Perez was on that loud core. He was on Raza Company Academy, E1, whatever they were called at the time, but he's been to a number of international events alongside that core and was even on that old Black Dragons roster that went to Yongshiping way back in the day. So if you talk about players with experience on Los, of course Dash comes first, but Perez is absolutely one of the most experienced players in this tournament as well, and he's going to be expecting a lot more from his team than what we saw back on map 1.
Had a bit of a rough first map for him, right? He's now 12-11 with that series of Bank in the books. He did have some good moments in the final portion of that map.
Yeah.
You'll recall, but 9-11, oh my gosh. That was his scoreline for map number 1. And with 3 kills already, he's gone positive. So if Perez can have a monster game here and look a lot more comfortable and a lot more confident, then stocks for this Los team will continue to go up. Dafo walks in. Goodbye to Cairo. Nothing to tell us that this second attack won't be just as formidable as attack number 1 was, Jesse.
Yeah, Enterprise really not the start they were looking for. I almost wouldn't be surprised to see attack timeout called from Mag after this if they do lose it, but we'll hold off for a moment. It's just so early that Dafo got that space. An attacker in piano like that is very rare to see so quickly, and then it's a brilliant shot with the DMR. Didn't have much of a target, but finds the head one way or the other. And it puts them into a really strong position where they have a lot of this top floor control so quickly, and they can start putting pressure towards mezzanine. They can start putting pressure towards blue stairs. They can put pressure towards library. All of these positions that Enterprise are actually playing, they're dealing with players a lot earlier than I think they would have liked to, and not even halfway through this round, Los are not far away from their execute.
What I say about the play outside of windows, right? Perez is holed up in that position, waiting for somebody to cross. He's looking over towards library, over towards that very top of blue on the second floor. The fire will go out. Dark now eliminating Jigsaw. Los not suffering through too much. They'll lose Dark at the hands of Tuhan. The only casualty, and it's the Deimos. That's a big one, though, for Enterprise.
Yeah, certainly you don't like losing Dark, but I mean, they still have all the tools they need, Parker. Over a minute, and they've got library control attacking this. The flank does nothing from Bappin. Dafo's ready for it. They're expecting that play to come through. Tuhan and Brendo, frankly, have an impossible position. They've got a nice mirror window looking at big window, but who cares? That game's window is not going to be where this push comes from. They're going to be vaulting over Mez. They're going to be walking down blue, and they're going to have all the time in the world to get this done.
I mean, Enterprise has had 2 players with their backs against the wall many times over, and this round is no different. Los looking for a very quick 2-0 lead, only suffering a handful of casualties along the way. They'll lose Perez. Suddenly, the guns from Enterprise come alive, but Brendo will need to clutch up in a 1v2 with Dafo still alive. 4 kills for Dafo as they've pushed Brendo off of this spot, harassing him with those bees. Now that they're fully gone, it's the Blackbeard charging in pursuit. You cannot turn the corner on him or else he will punish you. Nuxka gets the job done, and Los up 2-0.
Nice try from Brendo there, but just a really tough spot to be in with all that time left on the clock. The pace from Los has been explosive to start this matchup, and you got to wonder for an Enterprise fan, what do they do to stop this? How do they stop this from spiraling out of control? Because they've been very dominant wins through rounds 1 and 2. It's only 2-0, you know, it's not a huge deficit in the scoreline, but like this is the point where sometimes you'll see attack timeout called to prevent things from spiraling out of control and getting to a scoreline that you're worried about. It doesn't happen. Mag is going to hold on to his attack timeout, deciding not to use it here after just 2 rounds, but there needs to be an answer one way or another with how quickly Los have been pushing through the building, with how fast they've been taking space and clearing roamers. They're just left with too easy of a task when it comes to these executes. So I want to see Enterprise change things up. I want to see them find a way to slow down these pushes. We'll get to see a kitchen defense coming through from them now, and I'm looking at a Castle. I'm looking at a Kaid. This might be exactly what the doctor ordered to make that slow happen.
Yeah, I mean, if you want to slow them down, bring the operators that do that so effectively. And I mean, Castle is a tough one to get through. It will necessitate a response by Los to bring a bunch of explosives and soft destruction. The alternative is that you just bypass that entirely and go for maybe a more linear or direct sight hit. But a big part of why you bring that Castle, Jesse, is because you want to force people into disadvantageous positions. Yes, you could slow them down, but there are multiple reasons why.
Does that cover anything? I guess maybe the window from West Main, although it's castled up. It looked intentional. It didn't look like that was a
Yeah, I mean, he lined it up deliberately with...
We'll keep an eye on it.
Maybe we are simply not good enough ball knowers. And there's something that it was accounted for that we don't know.
Very possible.
entirely possible.
So far, though, I mean, this top floor clear has been slowed down dramatically. This is not the same pace we've been known to expect from Los. The castle did get popped over towards West Main. This one, I think a little bit more clear. It's going to stop that Case's window from shooting anybody off of the bathroom window where we often see attackers try to post up on this top floor clear. That sends makes a whole lot more sense, and it's Perez who strikes first yet again from the same position as round 1.
And there goes Brendo. The castle is gone. Active versus persistent gadgets, and in this instance, you're going to have those still in play. Dark goes down to Bappin, who's holding this position now over by Kitchen. Sitting inside of Dining, will back his way towards the hallway. He's got coverage of the Kaid of Tuhan, not far removed. I think they're able to get the hatch here. Jigsaw, nice shot onto Perez. These two have been trading words in chat all match long and now trading bullets in that round.
Yeah, it's okay for Perez, though, because he got the hatch open. That's really your main job as the ace. After he gets that job done, he can be a bit more aggro, and then his teammate's there for the follow-up anyways. Jigsaw wants to get active in this game. He knows that playing passive is not really his playstyle. It's not what won them bank. He wants to be able to get aggressive, but Los has just done such a good job of shutting him and the rest of the roamers down on the side of Enterprise. 3v3, this is the best look EP have had all day on Chalet. They've got a good opportunity to stop this plant when it comes down, but they got to be careful. Nuxo with that diffuser is going to work his way down the trophy stairs and will be going for a plant around Kitchen.
Nitro cell. Nothing.
Hive deployed.
Holding it.
He's still holding it. I was wondering if he'd be able to get two with it. Maybe a bit too belated. It goes off. No target to be found. Daffo yet to die. Comes to blows with Tuhan. Who wins this fight? Daffo does. Not before Nuxka's in the ground. It's Dash and Daffo as the last two standing. Dash yet to find a kill on his roll again. Not the end of the world, but you do expect him to frag a bit better as he'll pick up that case. He's used all those ROU projectors so effectively. Good patience now by Cairo as he gets one. Almost finds a second, springing up on them. He hits the deck, but the win comes from Enterprise. My goodness, very nicely played. And the Aussies are on the board.
So one thing we talked about back on Bank, Parker, if there's one advantage that Enterprise have over Los, it's got to be their team play. And we saw that coming through in the 3v3. It's chaotic. It's messy, especially with those Sens walls. You don't necessarily know exactly what angles are open and what angles you won't be able to fire through. But in the end, it is that duo coming through at the end from, I believe it was both Cairo and Bappin, the hard support and the hard entry coming together in the late round to be able to make things happen in the 2v2, trade out their teammates when one goes down, the other is there for the response. It's really nice to see that team play coming out from Enterprise, and it wins them that first round on Chalet.
You've not slowed down their trash talk whatsoever in the chat, which is enjoyable to see, and I hope everybody here is enjoying these matches so far. Again, this is not to send anybody home. Winner moves on to phase number 2. That was the beautiful shot that we saw from Jigsaw. You got to imagine the Kaid wants that one back, right?
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a bit of an awkward moment in the midst of that, but in the end, like, both teams had some awkward deaths in the midst of that early round, right? Like, Jigsaw sure gets a free pick over the top floor and an ace, but then kind of gives himself away right afterwards by peeking the game store like 3 times in a row. So it's like, there are some messy moments on both sides, and that's kind of how you have to play in a game like this. You know, you've got two young-ish teams who have not got the most experience in the world, but who like to play active, who are known as more aggressive teams, and so you kind of have to play into that one way or the other. So far, it's been Los who have been a little bit better, I think, in the early game, but Enterprise have done a good job putting their foot down and not letting this spiral to something far worse than it could be.
I keep seeing Cairo's name, and I keep thinking it's Kino.
He'll be playing.
What are you doing there? You shouldn't be there.
He'll be playing in a few days.
Yeah, he's here on Dark Zero. For those that have not watched Kickoff, for those that are otherwise unaware, Kino no longer on that M80 team, so he's been playing on DZ, doing very, very well on that North American team. M80 failed to qualify for this event, but they will have a player at least here, as that's Hot and Cold is substituted for Adrian, who still might get his US visa at some point. We are awaiting information, but if Adrian is unable to play, Wildcard do have Hot in here as a substitute. I'm sure it's probably bittersweet for Hot and Cold to be participating, as he was just benched by M80, but hey, you'll take it when you can get it. Dark, the first one to die, Enterprise. picking off the Deimos yet again. A devastating loss of operator for Los. They'll have to trudge through the rest of this round. Perez, though, guns down Brendo, and we are back to a 4v4.
The Mission Impossible setup, the Aruni, the Denari, it makes it so difficult to get in, but Nuxka's found a way. Use that nade to clear the Denari, trips, but loses the fight. Jigsaw with the mirror window is able to take down that Blackbeard, and that Diffuse Kit dropped in the middle of the sights. They have to recover it, but it's not easy when Tuhan's playing these long angles and he's not giving things up for free.
Perez has a premonition about them, but can't hit the shot. Tuhan will give him nothing, and now Dafo swinging on in. Dafo was 6-0 if memory serves correctly. He'll be 7-11, but oh boy, just simply too many from Enterprise for him to deal with. The Aussies will win another one, Jesse, and tie the game. The comeback beginning in front of our very eyes.
I think the adaptations have been really strong from Enterprise on this map, Parker. First, of course, it's to kind of take back control in the early round in round 3, but then in round 4, Los kind of go for a similar push, right? It's very focused on the solar side. They don't want to take much map control. They don't have many players around the map. So what Enterprise do? They just stack up utility. It's a mirror window facing solar. It's Denari tripwires facing solar. It's all of this util that is specifically designed to make it so hard for Nuxka on these shields to make that entry play, to get that space, to enter into the bomb site. Even if they have solar control. They don't fight for solar. That didn't work for them back in round 1, so they said, fine, you can have control of solar, but we're not going to let you into the site from that point. It's a really good read onto how Los were playing, and it ties the game for Enterprise.
Have we had confirmation as to the maps, by the way? As to who picked what?
As to who picked what? Not as far as I'm aware, Parker. I don't want to make a call one way or the other. I don't want to say one way or the other.
That's fine. That's fine. You don't need to speculate here. So we did just get confirmation that Los did actually pick Bank. It was reversed. Okay. It was reversed very temporarily on one of the assets shown on the screen. But we had some guesses as to whether or not Los had actually picked Bank, just because of their history and Enterprise ultimately winning that map. It was a question of, are we certain of that? And I mean, hey, the admins do a good job, but there are lots of times where I will see a team win their other opponent's map back and forth and go, are we sure we got this right? Are you sure? Either way, a swing from Cairo. Down goes Dash. Opening picks have been terrific through these last 2 rounds. They will continue to go better and better and better. Dash and Perez in the ground. Bappin, the only one on the side of Enterprise, gone. So the Aussies will have the lead by 1. Lots of information from Dark, who has managed to outlive the first minute of action, something he has failed to do in the previous 2 rounds.
Bit of a messy entry. I mean, they're not going to be happy with that going down in numbers after they take the space, but the time is still pretty good for them. They got in quite quickly. Now they've got to deal with these players up towards Library, up towards Mezzanine, and this is kind of where the snake comes in for information. Dark will have these players' positions. Losing Perez really hurts, because those Grimbees were your primary tool for clearing out these positions. They've got to be able to nade this shield out, and then once that's gone, they need to be able to push together, because they will not have the extra util from the pings that they were hoping to have when they clear top floor.
We switched off at the perfect time, and I was like, oh my, is he just going to keep firing forever? Has Dafo been sent into the void? Dark will take care of Cairo. I second-guessed the Nitro cell and ultimately dies because of it. Lead goes back for the Australian squad, who are looking for their 3rd round in a row. Los had a great start. Now it's all up to Nuxka, who's fighting his demons upstairs. A debilitating injury caused by that Razor Bloom, and now he will limp his way towards the site. A minute to go. Enterprise showing good restraint at this point in time. Nobody wanting to engage with the Lion of Nuxka as he makes an unholy racket walking down those library stairs. He does hold the defuse kit, but I feel like that's not top of mind for him, Jesse. He needs to get a pick or 2 for an opening. He'll get neither. Jigsaw sealing the deal, and that's 3 in a row for Enterprise as they take the lead.
What a response. Enterprise, despite looking lost through the first 2 rounds, have bounced back in a dramatic way. 3 straight, as you say, Parker, and it comes down to just really good play on that early game. Again, Los do the same thing as they did previously on that bomb site. They try to enter quickly. They try to take that map control relatively for free, and what happens? One guy walks into a dread mine, gets fried. One guy jumps into a shield, gets fried. They trade out one of those picks, but it's not quite good enough at the end.
We'll wait on the admin's call here for a potential rehost, but Enterprise are saying that I believe they called a timeout. And there was some confusion, and Mag looked a little confused as well. I don't know what the ruling will be. Maybe we ball, but seems to be some confusion coming from the side of Enterprise, who might have wanted to use their timeout. We do know that they will get a reprieve when this round ends. I mean, maybe that is actually a blessing for Enterprise, unless they feel like this round is do or die.
Yeah.
If they say we absolutely need to go into the second half up 4-2, then you use your timeout and you hope that you can translate that to a round victory, because you do get a timeout when we hit round number 7. So no matter what happens, you're going to get a timeout in the next 3 minutes. Enterprise just might be worried about what happens in that second half.
Yeah. I mean, they can absolutely pull ahead here and get that 4-2 split. That would be massive for them to be able to try to take things home. They've gone towards the bottom floor bomb site, Parker, not a site that we've seen from them so far, and it looks like it will be a tech issue that prevents, or that allows the rehost to come through. So a little bit of an issue getting it through, but there we go. So that will be a slight reset to come through between Los and Enterprise. Nice to see that coming through again with the lead. That 3-round answer is so important from EP. You know, they looked like they were lost in those first 2 rounds. They were so dominant to start things off. And now you start to put the shoe on the other foot. You start to think, okay, well, the response to how Los have been playing has been phenomenal. The reads from Enterprise have been really, really good. The adaptation's been perfect. And you start to ask the question of, like, are Los a little bit lost? How do they respond onto some of these sites?
Yeah, they look a little defeated as well. I know that the banter's been going back and forth in the chat, but I mean, that's, you know, what's the crying behind the smiling face?
Sure.
If meme that everybody knows about, that could be what's really occurring here. Mag looked like he might have been having some headset problems. I saw maybe some disparaging remarks about Super in the Shopify Rebellion game, taking off his headset and talking directly to the teams.
Yeah.
There were some people speculating, and it was idle speculation, that they were doing that to get around the listen-ins. Super took to Twitter shortly before this series began and said that there were problems with his microphone, and because of that, he was just told to talk directly to the team. Mic issues between the coaches and the players are unfortunately a thing that has we've run into a few times here.
For sure.
Fabian had issues with it on M80 at Paris SI, if memory serves correctly. There have been a couple teams that have had to wait, and we've had to go to tech pauses before coming back into an actual tactical timeout. And right now, we are on a tech pause, not a tactical timeout.
So there shouldn't be any communication kind of between the players unless it is directly about solving the tech issues. And in case you were worried, you know, Los have been on a bit of a streak. Did they call the tech out of malicious? No, of course not. It was Enterprise that called it anyways. So we're not so worried about that coming through between these two teams. But yeah, it's going to be interesting to see kind of how things do play out. I think an important note as well, you know, you talk about the headset that Super was having, maybe having some bit of an issues, but they're not sharing headsets by any means. Every team is in their own room. It's not like they're moving in and out between these games. It's helped us speed things up a little bit. You'll notice the break between BO1s especially was quite short, and a big reason for that is the fact that players are all in their own practice rooms playing, which makes things a little bit faster versus when you have to switch your PC, set up all the peripherals, set up all the stats, and the gadgets and everything, you know. Makes things a little bit nicer. Here's an Enterprise tactical timeout, and we'll get it from Mag here ahead of round 6. And I can't hear what he's saying, Parker, but the pointing is very aggressive.
Yeah, unfortunately, we've been unable to listen in a couple times now. Interesting.
So it's no listen-ins for the actual TAC timeouts. It is only the halftime timeouts where we will be listening to the players, Parker. So that's why we haven't heard anything in these timeouts called by the players.
Okay.
We'll hear from Mag soon enough. Give it 3 minutes or so, 3 or 4 minutes.
I would have loved to have known what he was saying. He was very pointed the first time around, but alas, that's the way she goes.
it's a really weird time to call your attack timeout, right? I mean, you've just won 3 straight rounds. Sprabuni just put out a great graphic on Twitter going over the round win difference in 3 rounds before attack timeout versus 3 rounds after attack timeout. That was data from the 6 Invitational. And frankly, if he does the same graphic, that timeout's not going to do Mag any favors because they had a 100% win rate coming into that attack timeout, so he can't improve it, even if they do win the next 3 straight. But I'm sure he's not calling it for the stats. He clearly thinks there is some issue going wrong with Enterprise, and he wants to get it fixed, even though they will have just a single defense round left.
Yeah, I mean, if you're burning your timeout right now, this must be a very critical round in your eyes and in your team's eyes, right? Because you're certainly not using this timeout to talk about the second half, because you literally get another timeout in just a matter of minutes. So in 2 minutes and 55 seconds, both of these teams will be able to talk to their soldiers and align themselves for the second half, at which point Enterprise will go on to attack and Los will go on to defense. So far, things have looked good for Enterprise. As you pointed out, 3 straight round wins. The first 2 rounds were very dominant and seemed to catch Enterprise off guard, but there has been a recovery now from the Australians, and because of that, Los have been the ones finding themselves flat-footed.
Well, they initially were choosing to play on the basement. They had a cap can. It was a bit of a wild setup, but they will rein things back in on the side of Enterprise. Kitchen and Dining is going to be the only other site that is unlocked for them to play, so of course they will go here. I know in ranked the meta is a bit different, but in Chalet you really don't see pro teams going to the bottom floor very often. It is the top 3 sites that see the most play by far. It's a very standard coming through from Enterprise, a standard rotation across all 6 defense rounds. They've given up a lot of this mid-floor map control. Dark inside of games and bar very, very quickly try to take this space. Worried about a player below, no such player exists, but there are a lot of guys playing inside of Master, playing inside of Office, extending themselves directly above the bomb sites. And if Enterprise don't clear those players out, they could have an issue. But look at this, Parker. They're just going to block them off as they start to open the walls.
And explosives galore. I think they might have got the Selma as well. Yeah. All of that expended by this Los team, and none of it really ends up working. They're going to try the exact same strategic setup. Door is already frozen back open. And they might have got the Selmas on the wall, too. There goes the exothermic charge. It's also frozen. Really good response here by Enterprise.
Yeah, 2Brow playing in Office is one of the most annoying things to clear out in all of Rainbow Six Siege. Jigsaw's done a great job, but he's out of util now. He'll just have the DMR to try to hold on to this position. The wall will get open from Nuxka as well as from Dash, assuming his 3rd Selma does not get shot off. But the guns will start flying, and that'll be the critical moment where Lo's trying to take top control.
Jigsaw swings the breach. Excuse me. Down goes Perez. A huge opening pick for Enterprise as these teams jockey to strike first. So far, the counts 3 for Los, 3 for Enterprise. That doesn't inspire much confidence here for this Los team, though, as they are down a man. They will immediately trade that one back, though. Jigsaw dies at the hands of Dash. Very critical of Dash's contributions, especially from some of these Enterprise players, but that's a high-impact kill.
35 seconds, though, Parker, and where's the map control? They've got the walls open, but this is going to be a chaotic attempt for a plant. They have no smokes to cover this either, so they've got to get in behind the bomb chassis, and they have to hold top floor control.
And Nutka just took a bit of damage, as now they walk ever closer. Dark behind all the rest of them, a Congo line forming as they all want to head through this breach. Cairo playing over by Lobby now, rotating over towards West Main. He's good enough for 1, 2 on the ground. Diffuse kit getting planted by Daffo. The coverage, good, but Cairo just walks right in, guns them all down, and they'll win the round off a time. Enterprise calls their timeout, and it works wonders. 4-2 the scoreline for the Aussies through the first half. And we're going to get to hear from the coaches at halftime.
All right, guys. 0-0 again. We're resetting.
Yes, sir.
Let's listen up. Defense, okay? Their defense. They're going to be spawn peeking and running out. Okay, guys? I want us to make sure we're checking spawn peaks of spawn. Basically, they either have an extended setup and we go direct, or they have a fucking Kaid fucking tub setup, and then that's when we sweep. Okay? Remember, on bar they like to extend a lot of the time, and they like to run out big garage like Relays does. Okay, let's make sure we're ready for those runouts.
Yeah.
On master we should just go direct if we do see Rios on fucking games wall and a heavy mez setup. Okay.
Yep.
When they go bar they also extend, so we can either bring they also go Denari and big garage to run out like I just said. We should go direct if we see heavy setups. Okay, guys.
Okay.
They also did compact setup against Int, and that's just when we fucking sweep.
Yep.
Remember on our kitchen...
Mag, again, coming in, Parker, with so much good information and so much prep work for the guys on Enterprise. Unless there's somebody who's working who has not been announced, they don't have any support staff other than just Mag working behind the scenes. And Mag has not been a coach ever other than at the start of kickoff for the last month or two. So he really is not experienced in this position. But despite that, the info that they have against their opponents coming into the second half seems really, really strong. And that's been a consistent trend throughout both their first match against EDG and the first map that they played here, Bank, against Los as well. So I really want to commend Mag for his prep work that he's had coming into this series. I know it's been something I've talked behind the scenes with, Mingaran, the former coach of Enterprise as well, that they don't have the same support that other really big orgs have from North America or Europe or South America. They work with a smaller budget, but despite that, the prep work seems really, really good on the side of EP, and I think it's a big reason why they're just 3 rounds away from the Phase 2.
Yeah, I mean, they're getting awfully close, aren't they? And we don't speak Portuguese, so we're not able to know what Los is talking about. We can't give any credit to Hugzord as much as we might want to. I do know that he came under fire for some of his timeouts when he was on that old Team Liquid Alienware roster. But, I mean, obviously his involvement, his experience is going to pay off a lot and do wonders for a younger team, and that's exactly what we saw with Los continuing to steadily improve. And now top 4, and dare I say it, the most competitive region in Siege. Los are here for good reason, but was it Manchester was 2 years ago? When we had E1 come in as the 4th place team. Now, I don't think there's a lot of comparables between Los and E1, if I'm being completely honest with you. But just because a team is top 4 in Brazil does not mean, and you said this before we even got into map number 1, does not mean you are one of the best teams, and it does not mean you are unbeatable. In fact, right now, Los is looking entirely beatable from the scoreline across both maps, but also here on Chalet with Enterprise leading.
Yeah, and I mean, Perez was on that old E1 squad, if you'll remember, so he kind of knows what it takes to be an underdog and make it to a big international event anyways. He's kind of going to be a guy that we look at to step things up. He was the main driver behind that 2-round lead that Los had to start this match off. He has really gone kind of quiet since then. 5-5 overall KD. I know it's been reset since the rehost, but trust me on that. He's gone back to even despite starting things off so strongly in those first 2 rounds. I want to see him roar once again. I want to see Perez get more active here on these defenses for Los. He's a player that they have relied on all throughout the kickoff, all throughout this tournament so far. And if they're going to go far, if they're going to make it to Phase 2, if they're going to complete this game against Enterprise and bring us all the way to Cafe and beyond, they need Perez to be fighting back.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, he was their secret weapon through kickoff. And there's going to be depth on every single Brazilian team. Let's not kid ourselves here, but we need to see more from their best players. And if memory serves correctly, Perez did not have the best stats in Manchester either on that E1 team, but admittedly, nobody did. So, I mean, it's a tough one. You go back and forth. You can have a really terrible team and one guy just kills everybody that he runs across, or you have a terrible team and everybody's numbers look really, really poor. A good bounce back from Los here now in this very first opportunity of the second half. Technically, Enterprise struck first, but it's been a series of trades all the way down. Dash felled. Dafo joined shortly thereafter, not before Jigsaw and Brendo were picked off. You look at the operators that are lost, passive versus active gadgetry. This is a big loss for Enterprise when it comes to their execute.
I agree. I think definitely you'd rather lose a Goyo and a Denari than, most importantly, the Lion from Jigsaw. But getting a 2-for-2 trade 60 seconds in, it's not bad by any means for Enterprise. They have a lot of time to figure out this 3v3, right? And that's going to be kind of the difference maker, is there's still the clock, which is currently favoring Enterprise as arguably that fourth man to tilt the scales back in their advantage. Now, if they don't do anything with these 2 minutes that they've had on the clock 3v3, that's a different story. They've decided to use it to pivot, right? This initial push came over towards that solar side, and now most of these players have moved over towards Library. Nuxka, the only real player on this side of the map. Watch out for him, because if he gets fried on this angle, that could really start the domino effect for Los and make it an Enterprise round. But if he gets a pick, oh boy.
There's a world in which Tuhan hops in and immediately gets gunned down. That's Diffuser surrender. That would be devastating for Enterprise, and a great read from Los, as they just need to sit and just wait it out. Perez and Bappin now doing battle. There's Nuxka to eliminate Tuhan. Our speculation came correct. And Nuxka somehow manages to get Cairo too from that position. It looked like his bullets were a mile away. Maybe he was bending them with his mind, Jesse. I'm not entirely certain. Bappin will have his hands full now as Los all but assuredly will take a position now. 1 round down of Enterprise. Bappin does have a death mark remaining and a nade, so he could dislodge one of these defenders, could work his magic and information, but he's running out of time. 20 seconds left. There goes the nade over towards top blue. And 2 separate players will look for the kill. Nuxka credit with that huge round at the end for Nuxka.
Yeah, Nuxka really standing tall in that round, Parker, has a massive read to recognize that rotation, right? We started with a really heavy focus downstairs on Kitchen and, of course, on Solar as well. Nuxka's that guy who sticks around over towards Library. He says, I'm not going to let these guys just take in the other side of the map, recognizing that there could be a pivot about to come through on the side of Enterprise. So really good read to come out from him. Has a nice little round there on the defense, and we will start to see that comeback begin from Los. That 4-2 lead, it's so deceptive, isn't it? Because it feels like a lot when you enter through the halftime. It feels like 2 rounds is a great buffer. But especially when you swap over to the attack with a 4-2 lead, the defense now all of a sudden, they get to play the best bomb site and the second best bomb site back-to-back before you've seen any of their strats. It's a really dangerous lead to play with 4-2 because it can evaporate in seconds, and we're starting to see that now, 1 out of 2 from Los.
We have a tech issue that seems to be an issue with something on the side of Los. They were quite late to all connect to the lobby. I mean, that could be just that they were selecting their operators later, but it is hard to say. And really, we can't gain much from looking at these bright white monitors.
Yeah,
I'm not really certain about that one, but
it's definitely a Los issue. I'll promise you that.
Yeah, there we go. It might be a headset problem.
It's great detective work.
Thank you.
I also think it could be a headset problem.
They're dealing with his headset right now. I don't know if you know this, Jesse, but it looks like it might be a bit of a headset problem here. You know, it just might be a headset problem.
Well, it seems like they might be getting it figured out one way or the other, though. So nice to see things playing out quickly here to get things sorted. It's been a very close game. I mean, the scoreline is 4-3. I guess it's been streaky is maybe the better way to say it because we saw 2 rounds straight from Los where they looked dominant to win those first couple of rounds. Then Enterprise 4 straight, including attack timeout after 3, to make it a dominated position to win that half despite going down 0-2. And now Los seemingly have been able to flip the script a little bit. But I will say, you compare Enterprise's first 2 defense, or Los's first 2 defensive round wins to that round win there, right? It's a little bit closer compared to what we saw at the start of this game. Enterprise by no means back to where we were in rounds 1 or 2.
No, of course not. And I mean, if there's going to be an ebb and flow, right? I don't think either of us saw these teams and expected one of them to walk away with it. No. I think after map number 1, with how back and forth those rounds got, we had a good idea of these teams' capabilities, and they are very, very similar now. Now, you can obviously talk about whether the best team in Australia being, as good as the 4th best team in Brazil is a good thing for the region, or what their potential. Look at like that. How did you get the kill there? I don't understand. Yeah. But I mean, Enterprise have always been quite a solid team, and to your point, yes, they did make a coaching change. Yes, they did get a new player on the squad. But the core identity of this team has largely remained unchanged. Yeah. They've got a lot of veterans on the team. They've got tons of depth. They've got good flexibility on attack and defense. Going up against a team that is on paper quite good, but is still gelling. Yeah, you've got a bit of a window where you might be the better team, but give Los more time.
Yeah.
Just give them a longer incubation period. Same with some of the NA teams that we cover.
Yeah.
Right? You look at a team like Wildcard. Kind of looked like, blah. Sure. No, they didn't look the best. And then the longer the kickoff went, they slowly started to look better and better and better. Sometimes it just takes a couple games for you to get back up to speed.
Well, we're back in the game, thankfully, and the tech pause wasn't too long, so thank you all for sticking with us. It is very close between Enterprise and Los, but the Australians remain just 3 rounds out from making it to Phase 2 of the Major. Loser of this will go down to the lower bracket to play tomorrow for their lives, but they can't be worried about that just yet. This is a great position from Perez. He actually just found a player who's pinching him in through Big Garage. He's about to get droned, and we'll know that now as he hears the drone jump past him. Pinched on 2 angles. One's a Blackbeard. This is so awkward for him.
Don't know if Perez was thinking he was going to nade or melee or what, but yeah, he's hunted down inside a garage, and they'll park him in there for the next 2 minutes. You mentioned Perez. You said he needed to be good. He needed to be strong. Well, unfortunately for him, he had a bit of a rough go of it. This round shaping up very effectively for Enterprise. Jesse, they've lost a little bit of HP on Cairo, but Dark and Perez are both in the grave on the side of Los.
Yeah, this is kind of devastating now from Los. They've got to find some way to get back into this round, and probably that means getting aggressive. That's why Dafo is going for such aggressive peaks down here in the blue hall. Did see a player just on the breach at the ends, and they are heavily droning this. I think Enterprise have read correctly that Los are going to want to get aggressive from this position, down 2 players. This is going to be an opportunity now for them to just use Cairo once again on the Blackbeard. He entered first on the BB, found that early pick, now can do it once again, hunt down the player down below once more, and it's Bappin who finds the kill.
And Dafo is taken down. Dash now gone. We have not seen a flawless round, Jesse, until this moment. No flawless round between these teams on Bank. Definitely none here on Chalet. But they make it work, and only 2 rounds for Enterprise to be the first team to clinch a spot in Phase 2.
You know, Mag is running back to his headset because the enemy team just called attack timeout. You know, during the 25-minute stall that Ollie and I had before this major kicked off, before the first game that Enterprise played today, we talked a little bit about the meta and how the attacking meta has gotten so much more powerful over the last couple of months with the introduction of Snake, but you combine all the tools, the information operators like Deimos, like Dokkaebi, the shields like Blackbeard, like Monty, and then of course the disruption ops as well. You've got Ying, you've got Grim, you've got Capitao, you've got so many good operators, and it makes it so difficult to be a solo roamer on defense. That has kind of been the biggest position that has been hurt by the meta changes over the last few months, and I think that really did showcase with Perez there inside a big garage. What's he supposed to do? You know, playing alone by himself inside a garage, no way to get out, 2 players pinching him from 2 different directions, and he just got droned out, you know? I mean, all he really had in that moment was to not be there in the first place. And I think when you go back to things and you go back to the strat book from Los, maybe those are the types of positions that you just have to eliminate when you're playing against strong roam clearing teams like Enterprise. It makes it so difficult playing in that position. His best case there is probably go 1-for-1.
Yeah.
You know, like that is ideal. And even then, that's unlikely given that there's a Blackbeard on the board, you know? So it just looks like a really good clear from Enterprise. Los, not much they could have done differently, I feel, in that round, other than just set things up differently from the get-go. You know?
We also ask the question quite often, if you're going to solo roam, what is the purpose of that roam?
Sure.
Are you there to waste time? Are you there to kill drones? Are you there to get away and maybe go for a run out? Having a soulless downstairs in garage is not unheard of. It can be quite commonplace. You can impact the garage doors. You can go for a run out if somebody's over towards that piano window, if somebody's over towards the blue window, if somebody's maybe playing over up on rappel looking into Solarium. There's lots of things that you can do, but it was read effectively by Enterprise. And I mean, you saw how much prep work Mag had done. Maybe they've seen Perez or somebody on Los solo roam there. And the biggest problem with solo roaming is that if you are not able to do your job at all, you have wasted your life in that round. He threw out an impact grenade. It did a little bit of damage to the Blackbeard, but beyond that, what else did you see from them? Pretty much nothing. So a complete blunder from Perez in that position, and if there was somebody there to support him, we never saw that materialize.
Kitchen coming out from Los for the first time here in this game. They'll run the same setup that they ran back during the SAL playoffs on April 19th when they played onto this site. We'll see if it works out a little bit better for them. Again, with Enterprise's prep work, they should know how to break this push apart. They should know where these players are going to be playing. Couple here on the top floor, quite a bit of an extension up above the bomb site, as you typically tend to see. Dark over on blue will get naded out, and you can see, I mean, the droning has been good, the intel prep has been good as well, and it'll be Nuxka the first to fall.
Opening bloods for this Enterprise team. There's now 6 in a row, but hold on a second. Perez is there exchanging most of his HP for 2 kills. If anybody can get the job done, it'll be him. But now Enterprise is up in numbers once again. Dafo and Perez, the last 2 standing, and Perez is on borrowed time, Jesse. Dafo 0-3, no kills since coming back from this rehost. The 3 remaining players on Enterprise, all at full HP. They've got utility to spare. They've still got drones, and they have case control. That's about as best as you can hope for the Aussies with a little bit over a minute left in this round.
Yeah, you couldn't ask for a better setup for the final 70 seconds. They've found now the castle on the drone. They know where Dafo is. Perez has come up to join him, by the way. Was in the basement, but he's rotated up solar stairs, so they want to play together. I think that's the right call. They've got Vert to play with as well. If they do just go for a plant, Dafo can use that shotgun to try to deny the plant with the verticality, but there are also so many plant spots here, Parker. They've got the Capitao smokes. They can fake one, they can plant in a different position, and that's why Perez is rotating back now. He knows that denying from above is not going to be their best strategy, so they've got to find some way to win on site.
Dafo's going to go for a long rotate. He'll join Perez in the basement as they've completely forfeited that main floor control. Cairo getting Diffuse Kit down successfully allows Perez and Dafo time to get back towards the bomb site. Sight unseen. There's Perez still fragging. Oh, time will run out. Only good enough for one kill. What can Dafo muster? Dafo, to his credit, incredible over on Bank. He hasn't had the best run here on Chalet by comparison. I think the bigger issue, Jesse, is just watching this clock. 20 seconds left. Cairo and Jigsaw have completely fallen off. So Dafo will hunt through this entire map. Really rude words being put in chat. Cairo gets the final kill, and Enterprise moves to series point.
Yeah, it's just not the defense they need in that 2v3, Parker. Perez and Daffodil. Vitor and Victor, the two Vs on the team. And I just feel like they overcooked it, man. Like, they have full top floor control, but they say, okay, we don't want to deny from above. Fair enough. So they go to the main floor. They have full site control. We don't want to deny from site. Okay, they both drop to the bottom floor and try to do a retake up West Main and Blue Stairs. It's just complicated. It's messy. And while Los are going through all these different rotations to try to catch Enterprise off guard, are we upstairs? Are we in the basement? Are we in sites? Enterprise just planted the kit. They just went in sight and planted, Parker, and Los are all over the map trying to find some unexpected angle, and great, Perez walks up blue and catches a player off guard, but he's insta-traded. It doesn't do him much good. Plant still went down. Just feels like the kitchen's on fire with how overcooked that final couple of rounds, couple of seconds went. And now Los will have to be perfect for 3 rounds straight, or it will be Enterprise succeeding all the way to phase 2 of the major.
You have to imagine that Los will opt out of playing Bank if absolutely necessary moving forward, right? Mm-hmm. This will be their 4th time playing it in a month, give or take.
Yeah, they've played it 3 times. They're 0-3 so far.
And now it's a rough go of it. So now you come to Chalet, Enterprise's map pick, and we have a much more, I guess you could say, understandable scoreline for the Aussies.
Yeah.
So Enterprise now will only need a single round in order to move on. Los have only won 1 round of the last 7. They will need to win 3 in a row. Los sprung out to an early lead, going up 2-0, but it was Enterprise pretty much all the rest of the way, other than dropping the first round of the second half. Enterprise has been dominating. They've been striking first. They have 6 consecutive first bloods. They've been doing very good from an elim standpoint, trading each other out effectively. There's been good objective play. Neither of these teams are perfect, and I mean, there's a reason why both of these teams are here competing in the play-ins and not in the Swiss stage, but Enterprise have just simply been a cut above, which shouldn't be a surprise, but to many just might be.
They've banned out the Demos. They get 1 ban to try to make this 4th quarter all their own, but Demos only brought 1 time by Enterprise so far. That was by Bappin on this very site. He'll rotate over towards the Dokkaebi and immediately gets blown up by Dash. That's a nice frag outside the front door. Hungry for more. Little over-eager, though. Shooting the body right after, and there's the bot comm. Why not? Still plenty of round to play. I mean, it's an aggressive move from Dash, maybe ill-advised, but in the end, his team is still in a good position, Parker. They've got most of this map under their control. No one from Enterprise in the building just yet, but you gotta wonder yourself, you know, does Dash need to make a move like that? Maybe not, maybe so. Takes a risk. Sometimes you have to do that down 6-3, but it's up to his teammates now as the captain's in the grave.
Frags finding themselves quite easily on the side of Enterprise. Everybody positive in KD except for Tuhan. Enterprise could change that in a hurry as Los is suffering through this assault. The midway point of the round, both Dark and Nux now softened up in their positions. They know that Tuhan is fast approaching. They hear that proximity alarm go off. Brendo picked apart by Dafo. Los with something that's a bit rare, Jesse. It's a player's number advantage.
Yeah, pretty shocked to see this, but Enterprise, they've kind of just been playing this so passively. There's the opportunity that they've been waiting for. The passivity pays off. Jigsaw 6-2 since the rehost, finds Watt frag onto Nuxka, and now makes things really awkward with just 50 seconds to go.
Not a lot of kills remaining on everybody not named Perez on the side of Los. Enterprise need to manage this clock oh so effectively. Jigsaw takes down Perez. Daffo losing some HP in the process as he guns down Tuhan. Tuhan hoping to go positive. Well, if his team wins this, I don't think it'll be a concern, but he will not succeed. 30 seconds left, and it's a 2v2 with Enterprise still sitting on match point. That was a bit of a failure from Daffo to pop that Goyo canister. Now he'll just have to go for the direct gunfight. Missing his opportunity. Dark is there for insurance. And now it's up to Jigsaw to clutch with 10 seconds left. Los holding case control. Jigsaw with the pistol out, running out of time, and Los will fall back as fast as they can. No opportunity whatsoever, and the Brazilians will hang on for at least one more round.
Much better late round from Los. Much better, and they needed that. You know, the last round that they lost, the fashion in which they lost it feels really, really bad. This time around, different circumstances, of course. I would say far more advantageous for Los in those final 60 seconds, but even still, they just play it simple. They don't overcook. They don't crazy run around the map. They just say, we'll play in sight. We'll swing together on the solar player. The last couple of guys on Enterprise, a little bit disconnected. Something we haven't seen so much from them on this on day, honestly, since the major began. They played really well as a unit. That time around, not able to do it so much. Despite some, I would say, ill-advised positions coming through from Los, feeding some free kills over the way of Enterprise. They keep enough players alive. They play smartly for the end of that round, and they're able to lock things down, bring themselves to within 2. If you're Enterprise, and I don't mean to ring the alarm bells prematurely, but I'm going to be dramatic, you got to keep in mind, you don't have your tac timeout here, Parker. They've already chosen to use it. So if this starts to spiral, if we start to see Los win round after round after round, there might not be a handbrake on the side of Enterprise.
Parachute, another thing that we often refer to as no ripcord to be pulled here. Nothing to slow the descent of Enterprise. It will just be a straight free fall. But I don't get that vibe right now. I don't get the vibe. Sure. Even that round was way too close for comfort for Los. The 2 rounds won by Los here on Chalet have been really tight. 3 players survived back on their victory in round number 7. 2 players survived the most recent round. These are not dominant, confidence-inspiring rounds. These are scrappy, hold on by the seat of your pants style rounds. And that is not the type of thing that should give anybody confidence that they'll be able to pull this one out. Enterprise still looks like the much sharper team. They've changed things up on this advance. If they can catch somebody from the side of Los off guard early, that just might be curtains for the Brazilians in this matchup.
Yeah, you've got to keep your head on straight, I think, if you're Enterprise. That's the biggest thing. Like, you've been playing better. You've been the better team. You just cannot get in your own head about it. They're going to enter in through Big Garage. Snowmobile. Very similar to what we saw from them.
It's a big garage, Jesse.
I think it's actually technically bigger than Big Garage.
As a Torontonian, that garage would go for $4,000 a month. So, I get it.
We got Big Garage on Bigger Garage. Maybe we got to get a rename coming through the comms. But in any case, it's a similar push from Enterprise. They try to work their way from the basement up towards the site. This is a surprise from Cairo, not expecting the Fenrir, and Perez not ready for the play. I think he's worried about a player above him, but the Blackbeard's the bigger threat, and he goes down.
I don't know if the silhouettes are giving me false confidence, but it looked like the Lion of Brendo was somewhere nearby, and he was concerned about that one.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, so he was a little concerned about the Lion. Thank you very much to our fearless observers, as always. We don't usually say thank you to them. Yeah, they're fearless. All of them.
Okay. Yeah.
They've never been scared of anything in their life.
I don't disagree. I just thought it was an interesting word.
What would you call them?
Beautiful.
You called me beautiful earlier. Talented. 1 minute remains, and we are at a bit of a slow period in the round, as Brendo now will assert himself walking in Mudroom. Nuxka going for the ego challenge on a smoke. I mean, I suppose if you're worried about sitting too passively in the site, things will go bad. Nitro Cell goes out. Down goes Cairo. The brawl as Tuhan walks in. A hail of bullets. Dark emerges victorious. It's all up to Dark now in a 1v3, but Jigsaw will shut him down. And Australia will survive the play-ins. Enterprise's day is done. we'll see them at the Swiss phase as they are the first team to make it out of phase 1.